Humans have long held an allure for the sea. A call from the untamable, ineffable, endless wilderness of water. A dream as attractive as it is impenetrable. Crossing an ocean was not something I ever thought I would actually accomplish in my lifetime. Months were spent getting the boat ready for this 1,500 nautical mile passage from Western Port Australia to Uintah, New Zealand. Landfall is a heavy displacement cutter built by the fine craftsmen at Shannon Yachts, an exceptionally seaworthy 37-foot sailboat specifically designed for extended voyages in open water. She is very capable of crossing a sea as notorious as the Tasman. After 3 long years unwillingly abandoned on land during the pandemic, finally the day came to splash her back in the water. But this was far from her first ocean crossing. Landfall's captain, my stepdad Dennis, had sailed her out of the Great Lakes many years ago. 50,000 nautical miles that included a solo circumnavigation of the Atlantic, a passage into the Southern Ocean rounding Cape Horn to starboard, and then with my mother aboard, 7 years across the Pacific, all the way here to Australia. The time had come for them to once again take to the open sea, this time with myself and my partner James aboard, on an adventure we will never forget. Today's the day.
Today's the one. What are we doing? We're leaving Australia via a boat. Whew.
We are doing our first ever ocean crossing. How excited are you?
Oh, so excited. This has been so long in coming.
Time to untie the lines and get this show on the road, I say. Customs checked us out earlier, so they're waiting up at the end of the dock, waiting to see the boat leave, and we got to do it. That's what we're told. We're doing it.
Are you excited, Mama?
I'm excited.
How long has it been since you've been sailing?
2018.
Last time on land.
Bye, land.
We're doing it.
Landfall.
Woo. Woo. Bye. Captain Dennis Oman.
That's me, I guess. We are going to be sailing to New Zealand, and it'll be about a 16 days. Basically get around the point here, get around the corner of Australia, and it's a straight shot to the north end of New Zealand. We'll probably hit at least one day of 25-ish winds, but it should blow through pretty quick, and that's about as far as we can get grip files at this point. So that's all we can really say. That's the basic plan of what we're going to be doing.
I would be lying if I said we weren't nervous. The Tasman Sea is renowned by sailors to be a difficult and dangerous body of water. Many people have lost their lives making the crossing, and ships have disappeared completely, leaving no trace, rightfully earning its reputation for being one of the roughest stretches of water in the world. Known as the Ditch, this marginal sea of the South Pacific is where the warm Pacific and cold Southern Oceans meet, resulting in rapidly changing weather systems, causing unpredictable and rough storms. Having witnessed Cyclone Gabrielle wreak havoc on the same course we were charting towards just the week prior, made us a little uneasy. With nothing but open ocean to Antarctica, ocean swell in the Tasman can build substantially with no land to stop it.
We're sailing.
Yay, we're sailing. Yay.
Hey!
Finally.
Off the dock. We are sailing.
So all this work is finally going to pay off. So it's great. It'll feel even better when we see no land. None at all.
I'm a bit nervous for that.
No, that's the best. Out there and you're free because there's nothing. You're out there all by yourself. Go like that, at the same time.
Blowing 10, 12 knots at the moment, and we're sailing pretty well dead downwind. It's very gentle, very calm, and it's been a really relaxing start to this sail.
It feels so good. Finally turned the motor off. So quiet. Beautiful. The boat just moves. So nice.
Yeah, I think in order to go where we're wanting to go, we want to turn pretty well dead downwind.
That's what I thought.
No time of the year is guaranteed to be smooth sailing on the Tasman, but the ideal crossing window is generally between November and March. In the wake of the recent cyclone, our experienced captain saw a weather window.
It's not overcast, is it?
The forecast for the next week in February looked favorable, and we had every reason to trust him. For two beaming sailors, this was an absolute bucket list voyage and an incredible learning experience. Well, we are about 8 hours into our voyage.
Yep, 8 hours in. And what was meant to be our, ease you into the start of the journey, 15 knots of light downwind sailing has turned into sustained 25, gusting to 30, sometimes to 35. Where, ooh, yeah. 3 reefs in on the main, got the Yankee up, and we're kind of taking it all on the beam, trying to get through the building seas.
It's different when the big wave hits you, and as comfortable as you are in that seat, it throws you to the other side.
Leaving the protection of Westernport Bay behind, we started to feel the forceful energy of the Bass Strait. Although it might look like any other stretch of deep ocean, it's actually really shallow. That, mixed with local currents and big swell, can create some pretty nasty waves. For all the excitement, some trepidation was definitely felt entering into its waters.
It's around 12:30 in the evening. We just rounded Wilson's Promontory, which is the southernmost point of Australia, which I reckon is pretty cool. Bass Strait so far has been living up to its rep. What was meant to be 15 knots of downwind sailing turned into 30 knots of kind of straight on the beam rolly sailing, and it's been fast, it's been fun, it's been bouncing around all over the place, and it's pretty tiring. So our watch has finished and the next watch has begun. Well, let's try to get some rest while we can.
Yeah.
And we'll pick this up in the morning.
See you in the morning. We're just getting some coffee and going about 6 knots of boat speed. It's about 15 sustained, but gusting to 20. We've got some nice rolly waves coming in, and it feels pretty surreal to be sitting out here in the cockpit this morning in the deep blue ocean. We put on a seasickness patch, but today I feel great, so yeah, feeling good.
I was absolutely sure before we left shore that I was going to get seasick, and after it was blowing 30 and we got through all that rough swell yesterday, feeling pretty good. Very, very surprised that I've acclimatized to the ocean out here so far. I wasn't sure what to expect out of Bass Strait, but I can understand why people like to sail down here. It's really shallow and the seas are pretty confused and choppy and interesting, and yeah, I can definitely see how that can be a lot of fun. We'll have to come back and do the Sydney to Hobart sometime, now that we've done like half of it. But that'll be another journey, I guess. Anywho, that's my morning report.
Look ahead, the sea is calm, and I know we've been through a lot, but just wait. Wait for better days to come and carry us like wind in our sails. Hold on tight, I can smell the shore, it's right in front of us if we just hold on tight. This vision that I saw is getting closer every dawn. We are dreamers of the shore.
Having dolphins escort us out of Bass Strait was a pretty sweet moment, splashing and zigzagging, effortlessly coasting along in the wake of the boat. They seemed to be enjoying the experience as much as we were. It's one of those moments where you start to feel less separate from the ocean and more a part of it. Landfall was back where she belonged, and she seemed gleaming to be out on the water again.
Bit of an exciting day today. We're just coming off the shelf coming out of Bass Strait, so our depth is slowly increasing, which is pretty cool. It's been blowing 20, 25, sometimes gusting to the high 20s. We've got 2 reefs in the main, just the main out at the moment, and we're cruising along at 6.77 knots. We've been splitting the shifts into 6 hours here, so me and Al have been on the same shifts. We've been doing the 6 p.m. to midnight, and then also the 6 a.m. Whee, big wave, 6 a.m. to midday, which lets us sleep from midnight to 6 a.m. and also take an afternoon nap, which is pretty cool.
It's nice getting to do it in pairs as well because you never feel alone.
Yeah.
You always have a buddy in case something goes wrong.
Yeah, and I mean, it's not really our boat, so we don't know how to use it, so it's nice to be able to talk that through with somebody else while we're making our decisions.
Totally.
Feeling good. We had some good food today. The sailing's been great. The swells are definitely getting bigger, but nothing too bad. Yeah, all in all, still very comfortable. Snuggle in here in the cockpit. We've got our foulies on. Because it gets a little bit of spray. The freeboard on this boat's fairly low, so we take a little bit of green water periodically. And yeah, we've got quite a built up following sea. Way so many rolls.
Well, maybe we'll check in with you guys a bit later.
Yeah, we'll leave it at that for now.
We awoke on the third day to settled seas. The winds had diminished overnight, and we were now ghosting along in less than 10 knots. We were out of Australian waters now, Landfall sailing steadily into the endless blue of the open ocean. With the worries of yesterday fading into the distance the same as land, we found ourselves lost in the present moment. The glow of the hazy sun over the horizon, the sound of the waves, and the sway of the ship floating over the swell. The busy thoughts that rule our minds evaporated from our conscious like ocean spray into the clouds. The illusion of time merging with the vast, tranquil blue around us. Our world now condensed to the safe haven aboard our ship. People say it takes about 3 days to settle into an ocean passage, to acclimatize to life healed over and in constant motion, to fall into the rhythm of a new daily routine. You eat, sleep when you can, take watch, and repeat. All activities centered around keeping the boat moving. The best parts, though, are when you get to enjoy some of life's simple luxuries. Calm, flat seas also meant we could tolerate being down in the galley, and we would take advantage by cooking up some delicious food for the crew.
What you doing?
Making pizza today. It's calm enough that we can run the oven and not have to worry about getting stuff everywhere.
These lines have been out all day and we never had a single bite, and of course we're in the middle of making a delicious pizza and both of them go off at once.
Two tunas. One got away already though, so we'll see if we can get this one in.
Yeah, so we can have pizza and sushi.
I think we caught a little bluefin tuna. Only a small one, but plenty of meat for us. And I had a little sample as we were pulling him in and gutting him up, and he tasted pretty good off the go. So I don't think much cooking will be required. All right, well, now that that's taken care of, back to pizza.
Nothing lifts the spirits out here like feeling clean, free of salt, and full of fresh-baked pizza.
Good morning. It's the start of the 4th day at sea. Another beautiful sunrise, big clear sky. Unfortunately, not a whole lot of wind. We're still motor sailing to try to make some ground to get further east, because there's meant to be a northerly front that moves through in the next couple of days, and we want to avoid having to beat into that. So if we can get far enough east, then we can take it mostly on our beam and keep sailing further east, which is mostly the goal, so that we don't have to beat into the wind constantly. I'm gonna go make a cup of coffee and wake up a little bit more.
James is in the process of making some sashimi and sushi with the delicious tuna we caught yesterday.
That's the top half of the fish, and that's the bottom half of the fish. There's some wasabi, soy sauce, and pickled ginger. Hope everybody enjoys it.
Bluefin is known to be one of the most exquisite and rich-tasting fish in the world.
So good.
That's good.
It literally melts in your mouth. We felt really grateful to get to enjoy one. Definitely a highlight of the trip.
Good evening.
Welcome back.
It's been such a lovely, lazy day, just lounging in the cockpit in the warm sunshine, eating fresh tuna. It's been a bit of an interesting sail day. We have had an opportunity to use all of our sails. So this morning we threw up the spinnaker, and then we had the 160 going for the rest of the afternoon, and we just did a big sail change.
We brought in the 160 and we put out the Yankee and the Stace sail to run overnight, just because if the winds pick up, they're just a little easier to handle, and we can run it all from back here in the cockpit, so none of us have to go forward during the dark.
The winds are supposed to be pretty light overnight, so they're around 12 to 15. And it's not supposed to pick up too much, so.
No, it should be good. But we're just going to settle in here for the evening, kick back for the next 6 hours, and hand the reins over to Dennis and Bob here at midnight. It's meant to be light winds again tomorrow, but tomorrow afternoon they're meant to fill in, and we should be back to sailing at 20 knots and having good fun again. But until then, we'll see you later.
See ya. winds are sustained at 20 knots and gusting to around 25, and we've got 3 reefs in the main. We're clipping along at a happy 6 knots or so.
It's quite rolly this morning. The seas are very confused. The wind has slowly been shifting through the north, progressively getting more towards the west. It's meant to change right around to the south this morning, so we've got this swell coming from this direction, and soon it's going to be coming back from this direction. So everything's just really messed up at the moment. The occasional green wave is washing over into the cockpit, so we might put the dagger boards in at some point, but we'll just have to see how we go, see what happens with the wind, and see what happens with the seas.
We're just going to hunker down here in the cockpit and try and stay dry.
As night fell, the rains hit us, and not long after, the wind picked up to 35 knots sustained. Within the hour, gusts of 45 knots. Riding the front, the seas were tame at first, but then built steadily to agree with the wind. For 12 hours, our sturdy ship plowed through gale-force winds with waves broaching our beam. In the dark of night, the howls of the wind and pounding of the waves was much more terrifying.
That little bit of weather that blew in last night turned into quite a lot of weather that blew in. Started off pretty benign in the teens, worked its way up into the 20s, and kind of sat at 35, gusting to 40 for most of the night. This morning we've awoken to quite a large swell on, in my opinion. Other people have probably seen more swell than this, but I'm feeling pretty in awe of this sea state. There's pretty regular 8 feet waves crashing around, sometimes up to 12 feet. But then there's this really big, huge underlying southern swell that comes through underneath everything else. So you've got these little waves that are all the time, and then you've got under this these huge swells that are at a much longer period of like 30 seconds. And when the boat rides up them, you just see forever. And then you crash back down, and it's just like walls of water on every side. It's really bloody amazing. Wow. It's crazy. It's blowing 25 still, gusting up to 30. We're doing 6.5 knots, triple reefed with the staysail. What else can I tell you about it? It doesn't feel like we're moving at all. It's crazy. Sometimes, like the other day, it felt like we were galloping along on the boat doing this speed, and today it feels like we're just treading water here. We're not really even moving. It's so insane. What a trip. We're just riding out the waves. So it's pretty fun when you approach it with a good attitude once you get over the initial fear of it. We've done somewhere about 700 miles and we're like 6 hours into our 6th day. So almost at the halfway point according to our track and our route, but who actually really knows? We're doing 6.5 knots, but I think we're only making about 4 knots velocity made good, so we'll get to New Zealand eventually.
Nothing broke yet.
30 hours a day, it'll start to lighten up, but we'll be farther north, so it'll lighten up soon, you know. We got another day of this, then it's gonna go light. You'll be able to lay out on the deck again.
Yeah, by that point, we're gonna be somewhere up here.
We don't know what that's going to be
it's
like.
gonna be. We'll get another one closer to that time. Doesn't do you any good because it won't let you do too much bigger, or you'll never get the file.
Yeah.
So, but that's 60 hours out. We're going pretty much east. We're not going north by much. We'll be out in here. Well, it'll blow through. But I would say we probably have. There's 18 hours. We're gonna have to. Well, it's the same. 12 hours out. So we're in this. This is what we're in.
Captain feels good?
Yes, we're good.
If he feels good, I feel good. Yeah, maybe we should go in now.
Okay. Well, the wind picked up again. Haven't been able to do much of anything today. Actually, for the last 14 hours, I think I've been in this exact same spot. Feeling pretty lethargic and don't have a lot of energy. It's hard to do anything in here because we're being tossed around so much. So even to, use the bathroom, grab something to eat, takes so much energy. It's just like not worth it.
That is 10 winds to put the swing keel down. The wind has been slowly shifting from the south up to the southeast, and as it's going progressively more to the east, we're slowly pinching further upwind. And this Shannon's 37 only draws 4 feet, but it has an extra 4 feet of swing keel that tucks up inside the ballast. So we just deployed that to hopefully make it a little easier for us to cut upwind. We'll see if it works. It's blowing a pretty solid 25 still. We've got big waves. Lots of big waves. Lots and lots of big waves. And big winds, 25 knots, big waves, got 3 reefs in the main and the Stace sail up, and everything's lashed down in the cockpit so we don't lose it. We nearly lost some cans of fuel earlier today. And apart from that, we're just going to try to keep on making as much progress east as we can so that we don't end up in, I don't know, like Norfolk Island or Fiji and miss like the north end of New Zealand. Just still like another 800 nautical miles that way. This heavy section of wind is meant to stick with us throughout the night. And hopefully tomorrow, someday time before it gets dark, it should start to blow itself out and ease up a little bit. But I think we're in for another at least 24, if not 30 hours of more of this. It's pretty insane.
The boat isn't so well balanced right now. The autopilot is working hard to keep us on course. We're pinching up pretty well as much as we can, but the waves are really beating our beam, so it's hard to continue to go to windward. But right now we've got a triple reef in the main and our stay sail out, and just trying to pinch to windward as much as we can so that we can stay on course. Good morning.
Good morning. It looks like most of the bad weather is behind us and we've got fairly clear skies in front of us, but we'll see how that progresses throughout the day.
In the wake of the storm, we experienced temperamental winds until the afternoon of the 8th day. With winds steady around 20 knots now and the seas much calmer, we started to feel at ease for the first time in days. I was feeling really relieved. During the worst of the storm, anxiety had set in hard for me, my mind perpetuating thoughts of every possible thing that could go wrong. The fears seemed to bubble up from somewhere visceral, a place that never quite feels safe. Although everything was fine, at times it was difficult not to feel completely vulnerable and exposed. The final days of our voyage started to blur together. On the 9th day, I celebrated another trip around the sun. It was pretty special to spend my 34th birthday out here in the middle of the deep blue. I was feeling really grateful about the whole experience. We were seeing a lot more birds now, our first clue that we were getting close to land. We were nearing the end of our voyage and anticipating to make landfall in the next few days. But we had a few more challenges ahead. Easterly trade winds dominate the northern tip of New Zealand this time of year, exactly the direction we intended to go, making it difficult to make any headway around the northern cape. If it wasn't blowing from the east, the wind would disappear completely, so we motored to keep moving. On the fringe of cyclone season, it's not a place we wanted to linger.
Well, after 48 hours of pretty noisy motoring, we have finally turned her off and rolled out the sails again. The wind has shifted just a little bit to the south, not a whole lot, just enough for us to start heading east again, and we're scooting back along at 6.5 knots, Yankee, stay sail, full main, and we're doing 3.8, 3.9 knots, velocity made good towards our waypoint, still heading slightly north of New Zealand, but not quite to Fiji. So, all in all, I'd say that's a success.
In the wake of the storm a few days ago, we noticed that our SSB cable was broken. This meant we couldn't download grid files and get updated weather predictions. James volunteered to be the one to climb up the backstay.
Boat downwind.
It's okay. I think it'll make a huge difference. This little thing here, that's what the SSB attaches to, and the SSB antenna is this, no longer attached. That is why we cannot get a signal, so all I'm going to do is loosen off this nut, cut back a bit of insulation, and reattach it.
With some back and forth between him and ground control, we were able to make the repair.
Alright, we are back on. You can see SSB antenna reconnected to the backstay. We should check to see if we have an SSB signal. Success, hopefully. Hopefully it works. Maybe we're gonna find out that there's no more wind. It seems that the antenna is reattached.
Yay! Well done.
Yay!
When we looked at the grid files, we seen that there was a low pressure system developing to the north of us. But it was 500 nautical miles away, so it looked like we were in the clear and the weather looked fairly settled for the next few days. When we awoke the next morning, the smell of land was overpowering. It smelt of wildflowers, tree pollen, and sweet earth.
We have arrived here in the vicinity of New Zealand.
Yay!
Yay! Yay!
We have finally spotted land. It's an island off of Cape Reinga on the northern part of New Zealand. It's beautiful. It's
so nice to see a little piece of land.
Now less than 150 nautical miles away from the northern tip of New Zealand, we felt a renewed sense of excitement. We anticipated we would be making landfall in the next day or so.
Feeling, a little more energetic, knowing that we're almost there and that we've accomplished something. So that's a cool feeling.
Albatross. Effortlessly gliding over the ocean, these flying giants travel thousands of miles without expending hardly any energy. Noble seafarers, they spend most of their lives in open water and are capable of circumnavigating the globe in just 46 days. They were once thought to possess supernatural powers by sailors. I couldn't help think of Landfall as having similar superpowers. For 1,500 nautical miles, she galloped over the waves on a big stretch of seemingly endless ocean. Day after day, she soared along, showing her resilience as she pounded and pitched tirelessly in the swell. It was clear this was exactly what she was built to do. The conditions were absolutely perfect sailing into the Bay of Islands. It was almost dreamy, but the moment was certainly bittersweet.
I'm excited that we're about to get to land, but also
Can't go anywhere.
also frustrated that we can't go anywhere. But if there's a little bit of dock, I can walk more than 3 meters. It's bittersweet though, because it means no more sailing.
I'm enjoying my sail. Nervous about going to the dock. Not excited about it. Dock is not where I should be.
Should we turn around and go back out to open ocean?
I got enough carrots.
I'm really, really tired, and I'm looking forward to a night's sleep without having to wake up and do a night watch. So, solid on the dock, 2 feet on the ground. It's nice, and we're ending off with a beautiful sail after hours of motoring, so it's beautiful.
2 weeks without proper sleep had definitely added up for the crew. After just one night of solid sleep, we surely would be able to deliver much more energy and excitement to the thought of approaching land. Nearing our destination, we entered a beautiful subtropical paradise. Cruising by the many anchorages and yachts in the Bay of Islands, we were surprised by how vivid the colors were. A new, enhanced vision, in contrast to 15 days of endless blue. We were dazzled by the greens of the hillsides and mesmerized by the waves crashing on rugged cliffs of this island. We started to feel the celebration of what we had just accomplished. We had long wondered what it would be like to cross an ocean, and now we knew.
It's just such a trip to go from being the only one around to being surrounded by a whole bunch of people again.
Thanks for watching, folks. If you enjoyed our film, give it a thumbs up and write us a note in the comments. If you'd like to support the continued production of our videos, please check out our Patreon page. James and I will be heading back to our home waters to sail amongst the rainforest, mountains, and epic landscape of the Pacific Northwest. So subscribe and follow along to sail with us there. And if you'd like to follow Barb and Dennis's journey through the Roaring Forties, be sure to check out their blog, Sailing Landfall. Bye for now.